Hey guys, MC Stu here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. I am going to be doing a series of reaction videos to moments in Star Trek, the show, the movies, everything in between. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to look at pivotal, profound, and sometimes funny moments in the Star Trek series, things that have stuck out in my mind, I've carried with me over the years. From watching Star Trek as a young child and growing up watching it, like many of you, I'm sure, have done. It's kind of the one thing, or not the one thing, but it is the thing that pulls us all together, right? So my channel is based around mostly guides and things like that for Star Trek Online, and so I wanted to do something just a little bit different. I think many of you will probably have similar memories and things that I hope this stirs up in you and creates some good conversation for us. So I'll be picking things, like I said, that maybe I haven't seen it in a while. It's been quite a while since I've watched any of the series. I used to be on like a rotation where I would watch Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, and then I'd start it all over again and just on and on and on. And really, since I started playing Star Trek Online about 3 to 4 years ago, I found I watched the show a lot less because I'd rather be on the game and kind of be a part of it. So I think I'm going to start doing that again, at least fitting it in where I can, just to freshen up again on some of it, and not to mention I enjoy it, obviously. But right off the top of my head, I can think of all kinds of moments throughout the shows, like many of you I'm sure can, that stuck with you, made you think about things maybe in a different way, or were funny in a way that may normally not be in a setting or any other setting. Sci-fi has a way of being able to do that, illustrate very simple, basic kind of facts or truths that are easily overlooked or hard to present in kind of a real world scenario because of biases and all the different kinds of things like that. So sci-fi really lets you kind of step out of that and be able to kind of look at things, I think, through a lens that is a lot clearer and simpler. And so I'm going to go ahead and do a few of these. We'll see how you guys like them. If you do, definitely leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if there's particular moments through the show that really stood out to you, or you just really enjoyed, or whatever it may be, or maybe you didn't like very much. Put those down there. Give me a thumbs up, give me a sub if you haven't already, if you enjoy this series. I'd really appreciate that. So today we are going to take a look at the end scene of the episode The Chase. It's from The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 20. And just to kind of set the stage, if you're unfamiliar, but what has happened at the beginning is Captain Picard's professor has shown up, surprises him, Professor Galen, and is trying to recruit him to go on an expedition. He has found a code hidden in the DNA of different species of plants and animals and beings all over the galaxy, and has found that this code is not something in nature. He doesn't know what it is, what it's going to bring, and so he tries to recruit Captain Picard to go with him and help him finish his work that he's done. Captain Picard declines and has responsibilities, obviously commanding the Enterprise. And so he leaves. They don't leave on good terms. He's angry. It seems like Captain Picard would love to go, but that's not his responsibility at this point. He has other obligations. Shortly after Professor Galen leaves, they receive a distress signal. They answer that, go to him, and he's been attacked. There's other people that are aware of his research, and he ends up dying. And so Captain Picard, you can tell there's a lot of guilt there. Had he had been there, maybe something could have been different. This is a dear person to him from his youth, and he has a lot of respect for him. And so he goes ahead and takes up the mantle of finishing off this research, or this expedition, using the Enterprise. And so they go to these different places. They're putting together the puzzle and trying to find the last bits of this code that's been discovered. And along the way, they run into the usual suspects: the Klingons, the Cardassians. There's a little bit of the Romulans throughout it, and so everybody's on this thing, and they're trying to chase it down. At the end, they end up on a planet. They get the last piece. All the people that were chasing this code are all there. They put it together, and it's basically a hollow recording of this species that existed thousands and thousands of years before them, that basically seeded the galaxy with DNA and manipulated, DNA of many different planets to give species basically their form. So the whole kind of crux of it is, they're all were kind of stemmed or made from, influenced by this society that existed a long time ago. At the end of the show, what struck me, and obviously it was designed to be somewhat of a powerful moment, but there's a couple little nuanced things that I just kind of picked up on, and they're not like game-changing kinds of things, but I just thought they were pretty interesting. So what happens is the show's all done, they're back on the ship, and everyone's getting ready to leave, and Captain Picard gets a message from the bridge that the Romulan commander of the ship that was also chasing this and is in orbit has hailed and wants to talk to him. And that's where we kind of pick up on this clip here. So let's go ahead and take a look here and
put it through.
See what happens.
Acknowledged.
Captain, my ships are leaving orbit for Romulan space.
And this is the first part that I thought was interesting, because I'm sure there's protocol and things like that for ships in the same organization, right? So if there was multiple Federation ships in orbit or something like that, they would report to the highest command level ship that's there. Hey, we're leaving. It's a matter of courtesy or protocol to do that. I thought this was pretty interesting because this Romulan officer has no obligation to a Federation captain to do that. These two would have no issue fighting each other. I get the sense from this guy, and obviously from Captain Picard, that war is not something that they want, right? But we see in many times there's confrontation between Romulans and the Federation, and part of their duty and the things that they're doing. These guys would fight if they have to, and so I thought this was pretty interesting when I initially saw it. That he's calling to let him know he's leaving, and maybe that was kind of let me get in the door, because I had a couple other things to say, but I just thought that moment was kind of interesting, that was kind of the reason for his call, because it's completely unnecessary and not very in line with how we view and see the Romulans.
Until our next encounter.
Until then.
It also struck me too, Captain Picard looks surprised by this, so he's very short in his answer to him. I think he doesn't know what to say, right? So this whole kind of scenario, even though it's not super exciting or anything really crazy happening, but I think it's caught him off guard. And the fact that this Romulan commander has called him, is telling him he's leaving orbit, and basically telling him goodbye, right? It's kind of bizarre for how we normally see the interactions between Romulans dealing with, Captain Picard or the Federation in general.
It would seem that we are not completely dissimilar after all, in our hopes or in our fears.
So at this point, I think he's shocked, and he's kind of relieved, and he's thinking through, well, of course, right? Because this is kind of a no-brainer. It's almost somewhat cliche-ish, if you will. This kind of scenario, they really kind of piled this on to the end of this episode, because the whole episode is really like that in a nutshell, right? So this is kind of closing out that thought, although it's been already kind of ground in with the end scene and the hollow message and some discussion they had in his quarters with Beverly right before this call took. But you can see he's surprised that he's hearing this kind of thing, and it's profound, because basically the message is we're all the same, but we're really not, right? I mean, in terms of the Star Trek universe, it's not just different cultures, but it's different species that have developed on different planets and have a whole different way of looking at the universe and the way that they operate. The Romulans tend to be very militant and lots of subterfuge and those kinds of things, but at the end of the day, it's pretty clear, and you see this with the Cardassians and even the Klingons. At the end of the day, they love their children, right? They love their families. So they are very similar. And really, when you look at it, it's most of these, especially in the Next Generation, are everyone does have this underlying kind of humanity to them. I think that was a part of the point, because really, Gene Roddenberry was talking about, societal issues for ourselves and using this to illustrate that. I think in some of the later stuff, especially like in Enterprise, and I think in Discovery to a certain degree, although they haven't done a lot of just kind of like exploring, right? They've been kind of these overarching, just kind of, missions or scenarios that are going over, complete seasons and stuff. So with Star Trek, there was a lot, or Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager, and things like that. There was a lot more of kind of individual stories that address different potential societal issues and things like that. So you can tell in this particular clip here that Captain Picard is surprised, kind of taken back. So let's take a look at his reaction.
Yes.
Well then, perhaps one day.
One day.
And I always thought, when I originally saw this clip here at the end of this episode, that the Romulan really kind of came across as more of the Captain Picard persona in this one, right? So I obviously used a lot more words. He was clear and elegant, even though it was very short and sweet. Captain Picard struck me as a lot more cold and colder, and maybe that was a part of his the way he was, that his surprise was showing through, in his reaction to this Romulan coming in and approaching him like this, in this way where, number one, he doesn't need to tell him he's leaving orbit or any of those kinds of things, but then to go on and really kind of hold out that olive branch that, there's a mutual respect and understanding here. And based on the information also they got, that, they all come from a similar kind of, founding in terms of, their DNA and all these kinds of things. But I don't think that, I don't think the fact that they just learned that made this Romulan commander like this. I think this Romulan commander was probably a good, honorable person prior to that. Because the message was, obviously profound that you got in this hollow message and stuff, but it wasn't, it wasn't groundbreaking. I mean, it was groundbreaking, but it didn't really change anything, right? I mean, it was just like, yeah, all of you, your physical form was influenced by us, essentially, is what it was. So the Romulan in this really kind of struck me as more of, having that, what we would normally consider the Picard persona, in the way that he was elegant. And Picard it came across as a little more cold, very short. And then after he hangs up here and, he just kind of takes a seat, and you can tell he's thinking it all through. And so I think it's interesting, because I understand it, because Captain Picard's surprised. This guy just called him. But it just really struck me at first that the way that Captain Picard reacted to that, maybe that was the right play, right? It wasn't time for Captain Picard's speech. He just was appreciative of the gesture and surprised at the same time, and came across that way. But that always kind of struck me watching this episode. Again, it wasn't so much the actual, essence of what happened here was really cool and good to see, someone that was normally considered to be an adversary or enemy reaching out, handing out that olive branch. But it was really more of Captain Picard's response to it that always kind of sat kind of weird with me. Not that it was bad. I don't have any problem with it. And I enjoyed the episode, in general. But it wasn't your standard Captain Picard. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So, all right, guys. Well, that completes the first reaction video. As I said at the beginning, I'll be doing a few of these. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any in particular, definitely make suggestions to me. I would really enjoy that. Hey, check this out, and and I definitely will take a look at some of those and consider doing them. All right, guys. Well, until next time, have a good one. Stay safe, and thank you for watching.